As a supervisor, you may have been designated to approve time off requests for some employees. When an employee submits a request, you'll see an email in the My Mailbox. Clicking on that will allow you to view the contents. Here's an example where Ish has requested a trade on June 30th from part of the day with Rich D. To make that approval, you would click on the To Do, which is the bell icon, and then click the Approve button, and you can put a comment in if needed. Once you click Approve, that will send the information back to the employee. There may be times where you need to edit a timesheet for an employee. To do that, click on the hamburger menu to open your navigation panel, go to Time Management, and Edit Timesheets. You'll be presented with a list of all the employees that you can view in alphabetical order, and to get into their timesheet, you'll just simply click on the first icon, the paper and pencil, and that'll open up their timesheet for editing, where you can adjust the job, or the day status, apparatus, etc. So if an employee had called off sick today, we can go right to the line for today, go to the column for time off, and click on the drop down will show me a list of the time offs that have already been used for the employee. But if I click on the lookup, which is right next to it, which is the paper and magnifying glass, it'll bring me up a complete list of all different time offs that you could assign to an employee. So in this case, we'll choose sick, and then we can enter in the times. So for today, we're going to put the employee out from 8 a.m. So we could just simply type 8A or 0800. And then, since it's going to overlap into tomorrow, we're going to change the out time to Saturday, which is the 2 date and time, so Saturday the 29th, and he's going to be out at 8 a.m. as well. You'll see the total will be 24 hours, and right now you'll see that he has a schedule. When you put somebody out for a full day, and you click Save, you'll now see that the schedule has been removed, and that becomes an open shift for the day that, based on your manpower, you may or may not need to fill. Another option, if you don't want to put the time directly into the employee, is to request time off on behalf of the employee. So again, opening up our navigation panel under Time Management, you'll see you have Request Time Off for Employee. In this scenario here, I'll first have to select the employee. So when I click on Choose Employee, I can click on the lookup, and then in the search box, start to type the person's name. So if it's Ish, I start to type Ish, and then I click Apply, and now I'm able to select the time off. I can view his balances if they're loaded in the system. I can request full day, partial day, multiple days. So we'll say full day, today's date, and then I could put a comment called out at 6:45 a.m. If I hit the Submit Request button, my bell icon will show up with that approve item, and then I can go into that like you saw me do before and approve the time off. Over the course of the pay period, or especially at the end of the pay period, you're going to need to review the hours for your employees. To do that, open your navigation panel. In your favorites area, which is the star icon under Time Management, you'll click on Review Timesheets, which is going to open up the Detailed Hours Overview report. This report may be set to the pay period current, or it may be set to the pay period previous by default, depending upon your company's preferences. Within those boxes, though, you'll be able to see the schedule for the employee, the calculated hours for that day, and then the R and the C are the raw time that the person physically punches the time clock, and the C is the calculated time based on any rounding rules that may be in place for that particular employee. So in this case here, we can also see that there's a red question mark indicating that there's some missing data, in this case a missing punch. To fix the punch, I would click on the block, which is another way to open up the timesheet for editing, go to that particular day where there's a missing punch, and then type in the information. Clicking on the PrimePoint logo will always take me back to my home screen. Your home screen is going to be a dashboard, and all of the dashboards are similar in that they'll show today's census, the roll call, scheduled but absent, and open shifts. These charts that you're seeing are based on reports in the system, and the charts are interactive with those reports. So What I'm seeing here is a bar chart for today's census, which is giving me a count at each one of the apparatus. If I put my mouse over my apparatus, which is ladder 1, I can get a little more detail where it's going to give me the counts and tell me that of that 7, 6 are a firefighter and 1 are a captain. It's also color-coded in the legend. And speaking of the legend is interactive with the system as well. So if I don't want to see the captains and I just want to focus on firefighters, I can click on captain and acting captain to remove them. You'll see they're grayed out, and now I'm only displaying the number of firefighters in the system. If I want to put them back, I just simply click on them and they come back. So I said these charts are interactive with the reports. If I want to see specifics now about who's in ladder 1 today, I can click on that bar and it's going to open up the summary by employee report on which that chart is based. And then it's going to further filter the report just for ladder 1 because that's the bar that I chose. So now I can see the actual names of the people and their ranks and the times that they're scheduled to work in that particular day. If I go back to the report, we'll shift to the next one, which is the roll call report. So the roll call report is going to give me even more detail. Clicking on the bar for ladder 1 is going to now open up the roll call report on which that chart is based. And the roll call report has not only the person's name and the position that they're in, but actually their assignment for the day. So this person is clocked in as the captain, this one is the tiller, this is right side, and they're all clocked in this trade column as on duty. If they were in some other type of capacity, like on a fire detail or overtime or on a trade, that would be in this category here as well. Again, clicking back on the Prime Point logo will take me back to the dashboard. Scrolling down, I can look at my scheduled but absent report, which is a pie chart. So if I were a deputy chief, I might see everybody in the battalions on that particular day, and I would have my battalions would be in the chart as well as the various apparatus, so I would have multiple pieces to the pie if there were multiple people scheduled but absent. In this case, since I'm the ladder 1 acting captain, my pie is only 1, and it's letting me know that there are 2 people that are scheduled but absent today. So if I click on that pie, it's going to take me to the late early absent report filtered for platoon 3 ladder 1, and I'll see that Rich and Michael are not clocked in yet. So if I physically see them in the house, I can remind them to go in, or I can go right to the icon, which is that edit timesheet icon again, and go into their timesheet if there's some type of time off. So if Michael needs to take some comp time on that particular day, I can come to my list, select comp time, and put the hours in. Clicking on my Prime Point logo will take me back, and we'll look at our last chart, which is the open shifts. So this is showing me the open shifts for the 28th and the 29th, and you can see that they're color-coded. So again, if I only wanted to focus on shifts that I might need to fill today, I could click on the 29th, and I could see that in ladder 1 I have 2 shifts. So if my manpower is such that I need to bring somebody in, I can click on that bar. It'll take me to the open shifts report on which this chart is based. And then if I focus on the 29th, I could fill the firefighter shifts by clicking on the pencil icon to bring up the edit shift box. So this is an example of editing shifts right from a report, and this is going to be a little different than editing shifts from a schedule, but they accomplish the same thing. So if I needed to bring an employee in, I could click on the employee line and start to type the name of the person. So if I start to type MIC, it's going to give me everybody whose first name starts with Michael. Or if I were to start to type, ISM, if it was Ish, if he were available. So I noticed that when I typed ISM, I didn't see Ish as available. If I come over here, I have an icon called a qualification summary. And if I click on that list and I scroll down, I will probably see Ish in here as being, currently having time off. It will also let me know other people that maybe can't work in that call center or don't have the skill required for that particular shift. Okay, let's talk about approving trades and doing partial day. So to do that, we're going to need to get into the schedule. To get into the schedule, we're going to click on the navigation panel, and again, under your favorites icon, if we go down to manage schedules, we're going to click on schedules. And I'll be presented now with a list for the schedules for the next 30 days, which is controlled here. If I wanted to see a longer period of time, I could say the next 60 days and hit apply, and then I would have more schedules to choose from. And I'm also looking at schedules for administration and platoon. So if I need to take care of that trade from before, so remember we approved the time off request earlier in the demonstration where Ish had requested the trade on June 30th for 8 to 12. After I approve that time off in my bell icon, I then have to come to my schedule that contains June 30th for the platoon so I can make the adjustment. So if I go to the fire platoon line, I'll look for the dates that contain June 30th. So 6/11 to 6/7 or to 7/7 is going to be that. And I'll click on this very first icon, which is a view by day. So when the view by day opens up, initially the screen may be a little noisy in that it's going to show me every person that could possibly be assigned to ladder 1, which is a lot of people. So to focus on just the people scheduled for today, on the right side of the screen, we're going to click on this group by cost center. And what that's going to do is filter everybody out that's not scheduled and just give me on that particular day the people that are scheduled. So now I can see people that are just scheduled to work today. And then if anybody is off, I could see the green bar would let me know they're off. Each one of these bars are color coded, so the captains or acting captains are purple and the firefighters are black. Okay, so if we want to make a schedule change on June 30th, the first thing we do is navigate to June 30th. So I can either go day by day with the arrows, or I could click on the actual name of the schedule and then scroll down and choose that particular day. Either one of those will accomplish the same thing. So now that I'm on the 30th and I group my cost center, just get the people that are scheduled on the 30th, I'm going to need to make an adjustment to Ish's schedule for that switch. So I would go for the line that has Ish on it. Move the screen a little bit here from my demo. And click anywhere on the shift and then click Manage Shift to open up his schedule for editing. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to focus on the shift timeline, and on the right side of that is something called an ellipsis. If I click on that, it allows me to split the shift. So now I can see I have a June 30th and then the split shift. So the first part of the shift from 8 to 12 is where we're going to make the adjustment. So if we go to the shift start time, it's at 8, which is fine, and we're going to want to change this part of the shift to 12 p.m. Once we do that, we can click on employee selection, and instead of Ish taking this shift, since he's going to be trading with Rich D, we're going to go into the list, and in the search box start to type choose Rich D and hit OK. That's going to put Rich into that box. If we click now on the split shift, which is the second half of the shift, from 12 to 8 p.m., that's going to remain with Ish in this scenario. So we're just going to click Save. And now the system, you'll see, is now Ish is on a trade-off from 8 to 12, and then he's working 12 to 8. And Rich is now working the 8 to 12 shift on ladder 1. Now, both of these employees will have received an email notification as soon as that schedule change you make occurs, and they're required, when it's a trade, to send a copy of that email to fire administration so they know that the trade is confirmed. One last note about the group by cost center. If I don't want to have to do this every time that I come in, group it by cost center, and I prefer that it just show me the people that are scheduled for that day, I can click on the ellipsis and choose Save View As. And I could just call it whatever I want to call it, default. And if I say to make this my default, then that's going to save this particular view of the screen. I also have the ability to switch here from the day view to the week view. So I now have the opportunity to view the schedule over several days. Again, if in the week view I group it by cost center, I could now come in here, save my view for the week view also as my default view. And now, whether I go to week view or day view, it's already going to stay grouped by cost center. Now, when I'm in the week view, because the boxes get smaller, I start to see less information about the shift. So when I'm in the day view, because of the length of the line, I can see that this is a ladder 1 firefighter for Mark. When I go to the week view, I'm just going to see Mark's shift is 8 to 8. Now, if I want more detail, I can click on the chevron for Mark, and now I can see that it's a ladder 1 firefighter. I can also do that globally for everybody on the screen by coming up to the top blue menu bar and clicking on the chevron at employees, and then it would expand everybody, and then I could see a lot more of the details. Especially when somebody has multiple shifts in a day, like in the example of Ish, where he's got part of the shift as a trade and part of the shift as a firefighter. If I need to create a shift at any point, I can click on the ellipsis and click Add New Shift. From here, I would just start at the top, and I would create the shift times. So like if I was going to create a special shift today for 4 hours, I could say 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., then click on qualifications. I would choose my house, ladder 1, and then the position. Maybe it's fire detail. If I wanted to, I could then go to the employee selection and assign it. Or I could just simply say that I need to create 3 of these shifts for fire detail. And this would be the date that I chose, June 30th. And when I click Save, what that's going to do is give me 3 more shifts on Sunday the 30th that are detail shifts. Now, if I click on that shift, I have the ability to post the shift. So if I wanted to post these shifts out for guys to bid on, I could select the shifts, ask it to give me a list of employees, and I could select everybody by clicking the checkbox, or I could just select a few people that I wanted to offer the shifts to and say that I want to have that information back to me by the 29th and click post. I can also add a note to give details if I wanted to. And then if I click post, those people would be notified that there was an open shift. And as you saw in the employee section of the training, the employees could look for, after they received the email, they could look for, click on the open shifts and then bid for these shifts, which would still have to be approved by you. And that's how you access and adjust and approve schedules.